Hello, my name is Owen McCool, and I have a question for you today. Have you ever wondered what this big green bin in your driveway is for? Probably not. Most of you probably know that this is a recycling bin made for, obviously, recyclables. But do you really know what recycling actually is? Most people think that recycling is just a fancy word for throwing away pieces of trash. But in reality, it's actually much, much different than simply throwing away trash. When throwing away any old pieces of trash, like this chip bag, it just travels through the city's dump truck system and eventually just makes it into a grody, gross, and unhealthy Oklahoma landfill. But when I recycle something like this plastic bottle, it'll go to a sorting facility and then it'll be restructured into something entirely different. 25 of these plastic bottles can be reforged into, let's say, a fleece jacket. And did you know that it takes 450 years more in a landfill for one of these bottles to decompose? That's a lot of trash buildup, especially if you think about just how many people in Oklahoma City use plastic bottles every day. That's a lot of time, that's a lot of trash. And barely any people in the city recycle. So just think about how much waste that's adding up to. When I recycle a plastic bottle, it doesn't have to always be a plastic bottle. There are plenty of other items that we use at home every day that can also be recycled, and I'm going to show you a few of them. Oklahoma City recycling facilities also accept cereal and cardboard boxes, magazines, junk mail, aluminum, steel, and tin cans, non-broken glass, soda, beer, wine, and liquor bottles, milk jugs, food containers, lotion and shampoo bottles, and of course, plastic bottles. If you can't tell with certain items, many will have recycling labels on whether or not this product could be recycled, just like this plastic Coke bottle. It's got one on the cap, and it's got one right on the side here. All of these types of waste can be recycled, but we have to make sure we're actually completing the action of putting them into the bin and getting them prepped. So I'm going to show you how to properly recycle an item. Here, a milk jug. Now, I have a pretty big family, so as you can imagine, milk jugs go down pretty quickly in my house. But you can always recycle them. So the first thing you want to make sure is that the item you're recycling is nice and clean. This is because if the item isn't clean, then it could actually contaminate the entire bin of recyclables and make the entire bin ineligible for the process. Now that the milk jug is all cleaned off and all the milk residue is off of it, it's time to put it in your Oklahoma City recycling bin. Now, you can actually leave the paper label on because it'll get burned away in the recycling process when it's melted. Simple. Always put your recyclables in the green bin and the trash in the blue bin. That way it can all be sorted correctly and recyclables will actually be recycled. Lastly, it's time to roll that recycling bin out to the driveway and wait for recycling day.
Don't hit the car, Owen. Don't hit the car. No, that dump truck is glistening.
Always make sure the lid is out facing this way, and then it's just time to wait for the dump truck to come. Now, for most Oklahoma City residents, recycling day is every other Tuesday, so it's on the same day as trash day, but every other week. So every time you roll the trash down on Monday night, just roll that recycling bin right down with them.
What are you doing?
Waiting for the recycling truck to come.
It's 1 a.m. There's 5 hours left till the recycle man comes.
I just love watching the truck pick up the recycling. It's fun.
Nerd.
Boom! By recycling, you just helped out the environment. And when that recycling truck comes to pick up that bin of recycling, just wheel it back to wherever you keep it and start filling it up for next time. Now, if you have any problems with your recycling pickup bin, just call the number on the screen right now. Now, one of the main problems with Oklahoma City recycling is that not enough people are involved and not enough people do it. But you just saw how easy it was to recycle. Did you know that it only takes 2,000 pounds of recycled waste to save 4.5 cubic yards of landfill space? That's a lot of space we can save if everybody in Oklahoma City recycles. If we have a growing amount of required landfill space, more natural areas and wildlife habitats will be destroyed to make way for these projects. But if we start recycling, we can conserve these natural areas and save many species of wildlife from habitat destruction. Speaking of conserving wildlife, ecosystems, and habitat, there's one last thing I want to show you today right here in downtown OKC. I'll take you there. Another thing that recycling helps do is reduce the amount of waste that is directly in our environment and our ecosystems. And one of these ecosystems that waste can easily get caught in is our very own Oklahoma River here in downtown OKC. Plastics especially are extremely harmful to the environment because when they are exposed to water and sunlight, they release harmful toxins like bisphenol and the harmful chemical element antimony into the surrounding environment, which can destroy entire ecosystems if there is enough presence of harmful plastics that were not recycled. See, a lot of this waste here can actually be recycled. Not all of it has to stay here in the river. This milk carton can be recycled. This big bottle of soda can be recycled. This glass bottle of liquor can be recycled. Plastic bottle. Lots of these items can be recycled. When waste like this ends up in our environment, it only goes unnoticed by us, but not for the inhabitants of the ecosystem. Recycling this waste will help make plastic materials reused over and over again, and less waste will be produced just to end up back in the environment. By recycling some of this waste, like all these plastics especially, over and over again, we won't have to produce as many plastic materials. We can just keep reusing and reusing, and there won't be as much buildup like this, there won't be an overproduction, and less plastic will be released into the environment and the ecosystems. And that's just the beginning. There are a lot more recycling-based solutions to our environmental crisis we have right now in the United States and Oklahoma City. Some of these recycling-based solutions include creating many new green energy jobs in the United States. Recycling reduces the need to extract more natural resources than we need to, such as oil, which is used in plastic making processes. So we're saving natural resources, and it also saves energy that would be used just to produce more harmful waste. And the one thing that makes recycling different than lots of other methods of environmental conservation is that it is so incredibly simple, yet it remains so very effective. Any citizen of Oklahoma City can easily participate in the recycling process. So while it isn't required, I do encourage every resident of Oklahoma City to implement recycling into your life because it's just so incredibly easy and it really makes a huge difference. Let's start making the world a better place, one bottle at a time. Thanks so much for watching.